purpose of today's meeting is to brief the press and the entire Ghanaian community of metropolitan Chicago on the history of GNC, our mode of operations, and the Council's achievements so far. My executive members and I will take turns today in sharing with you how the Council is structured, address you with the administration, with the achievements we have chalked since my administration took over 3 years ago. Last but not the least, we will provide you with an update of Ghana National Council's current financial status. This is with the hope that by the end of this session, the community will have insight into the affairs of the Council and all different moving parts that makes it function as expected. In addition to that, we would like to use this opportunity to clear up any concerns brewing in the community, in the minds, and also address questions you may have for us today. We stand for unity, trust, and transparency, and I believe this is a step in the right direction. This is to avail ourselves to you for what is going on in the Council and also get a feedback from you to help us serve you better. With that being said, I will begin by introducing my executives with me here tonight so we can transition into the next phase of this meeting. So on my left is Steve Day, our organizing secretary for the Ghana National Council. Ms. Abinan Bofo to his left, who is our assistant business manager and our marketing manager as well. Epia Ajiman to Abinan's left is our youth secretary. On my right is Eunice Cromwell, Mrs. Eunice Cromwell, our business manager. Mr. Ifa Ameyao, popularly known as Kakape, who is our assistant PRO. And then our brother Faith Abebiu, who is our financial secretary. So with that, I will turn over the microphone to first to our organizer Steve, who will walk us through the procedures at the Ghana National Council since its inception. So Steve, if you are ready, I'll give you the mic. You ready?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Perfect.
Once again, let me welcome the friends of the media here. We see Sankofa Online is here through Ghana Web as well, covering for Ghana Web as well. I see Echo Radio is also here, and Trend TV, Trend African TV is all present. Gentlemen, you are very welcome to this mega expose as to the Ghana National Council and what it does, what it stands for. The Ghana National Council, as we know, it is an umbrella organization which came about through a community of Ghanaians gathered here in Chicago many years ago, one would say about 30 years ago. It started with a student union where they get together to commemorate with each other and try to share views and ideas and functions and programs. And that transitioned into wanting to have a united front. It started with just hanging out in the park, and one of the activities in the park was having the Ghana Homo Festival. But during those festivities, it became apparent that the community was growing, and it transitioned into chieftaincy playing a major role in terms of wanting to showcase the culture of Ghana to the African American and also to our Ghanaians, the second and the third generation Ghanaians that were here that begin to be born here in the U.S. So that is how the Ghana National Council was born. The Ghana National Council was born because we begin to have affiliates. We begin to have the Santaman, the Ewe Association, and what have you. And they still realized that although that was unique in itself, there was a need for all of us to come together as one Ghanaian community. So that is how the Ghana National Council was born. And most of the festivities at those days were the independent dance and also the Ghana Fest. And that had gone on for so many years. But one would ask, so the council in itself, how does the council operate? The council, as I indicated earlier, it's an umbrella organization, meaning that it needs to have representation. So they all agree to have a 3-member representation, and that 3-member representation essentially forms what we call the board of directors. And out of the board of directors, they had to have an executive wing which would carry out the mandate of the council in terms of programs and activities. So the president, the treasurer, and the sergeant of arms is elected for a term of office from within the council. You have to be a member of the council to be elected to any of those positions. Once this election is done, the president then nominates the rest of his executives, and the only caveat about executives is that you do not have to be a member of the council, but you have to be a member of any of these affiliates. The reason being that you will be serving these affiliates, therefore you have to be a member of the affiliates. And that is how the council is formed and the executives are formed. The executive then are mandated to come up with programs, agenda, programs and activities and budget for the council to discuss, and then given the green light to go on and execute those programs and activities. So the way the council has operated in the past is that the executives draw up the agenda, and we hold meetings once a month, and the meeting is normally superintended by a moderator, and the moderator essentially is rotational, so it goes from association to association. It is very important to note that at any time the executive would draw up an agenda, and they would have programs and activities, and such program and activities would be budgeted. Once it is budgeted and is brought before the council then votes on it. Once the council votes on the budget, it means it's giving the program or the activity the green light for it to be executed. So then the executives then go back and look at how best they'll be able to organize the program to be very successful. And that is where the business manager's role comes into play. The business manager essentially is the marketing manager. It's whatever she or he can do to bring revenue to the council, he or she does. So the role of the business manager is very essential. Initiate contracts, initiate to see how funding can be brought into the council through various ways, be it vendors, be it ticket sales. So the business manager's role is extremely important, and by so doing, when he or she initiates contracts, he or she is very involved in it to the extent of having to sign some of those contracts, but the contract always had to be countersigned by the president, because the president is the agent of the council mandated by the constitution to do so. But let me say this though. At any point in time when a program is done, let's not forget the budget is rendered first. And when the budget is rendered, it means that accounting has to be rendered after each program. And the council has it as a norm that not until full account is rendered for the previous program, no continued program is approved to continue or to be engaged. So there's always accounting for the previous program, and when all is done before an approval is given for the next program for the council to be able to get engaged in the next program. So this is somehow the structure of the council, and decisions are always made at the board level, and the executives are charged constitutionally to carry out this mandate to execute and ensure that the council is profitable in terms of all the issues. But let us not forget, the Ghana National Council only organizing things that encompass the rest of the Ghanaian community, whereas the various associations will engage in programs and activities that are pertaining to their various ethnic grouping or their various associations. So in a nutshell, that is the way the council has operated for the last 30 years or so. There might be a few variations here and there, but the essentials that I have mentioned is always in place when it comes to the council's operation in terms of the executive being elected at the council. They bring forth the program and activities. The board of